All right, well, today I'm going to show you my finishes for this week. There aren't that many because there just aren't. So the first finish is this small woven scarf. Let me show you. It's small. It's for my nephew who is going to be 2. Yeah, the warp is some just regular acrylic stuff, probably from 80s. I don't know. I inherited a whole bunch of yarn from my friend's friend died, and then she had a bunch of yarn, and I took it, and I'm finding stuff to do with it. And this was playing around. The weft is cotton. Yeah, it turned out pretty good. The learning thing for this is that I have to get better at beating consistently so that the selvages stay straight. I did block this and it got softer. I mean, honestly, this is just gonna be perfect for something that a little kid will wear and trash and probably lose. My goal, hopefully none of my family watches this channel, which I'm sure they won't. But my goal is to make all of them scarves for Christmas, and to really like shrink down my stash from making scarves. And yeah, probably most of them will be on my rigid heddle loom that my husband 3D printed for me. The other thing I learned about this is I miscalculated how wide it was going to be. Um, like um, the holes in the heddle are pretty close. So you kind of have to. It, you just have to be intelligent when you're calculating how wide it's going to be and how many dents per inch and how fat is your fabric and or how fat are your yeah, like how wide apart is the yarn itself. And just like I wasn't mathing very well. Actually didn't math at all. I was just kind of just going for it, and it ended up being way too skinny for a regular person. Honestly though, this if you made this in wool and then you folded the selvage ends over and like really shaped it, you could make a pretty cool tie. And it would be kind of weird, but it would also be kind of cool because it would be unique and woven. Okay, so that's finish number 1. Here is my second finish. So I worked on this last week. This was supposed to be a fanchon from an 1869 pattern. And I tried to follow the instructions, which basically said, like, here's the shape, and you cut it out of organza or paper or whatever, and you shape you add on stitches so that it matches the shape of the fanchon. But the fanchon was shaped like this, and maybe I talked about it before, but like I don't understand how you're supposed to make it go up and then down, like with just adding like casting on and taking off stitches. Like it seems unnecessarily complicated. Like it seems like it would be better to just knit the whole entire thing into a bigger shape, then pin it down and block it, but then um like put a hem in over the shape and then cut it out. Because like there's literally like 2 or 3 rows on the edges that are a little bit taller, but then there's like 4 rows in the middle. Like it doesn't make sense. Like you'd have to like take it off and then put it back on and then take it out. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. Either that or you're carrying over the yarn and then you're cutting it at the end, which I think I'm gonna try both ways and see how it goes. The experiment this time was with some scrap yarn, and it turned out that this yarn is wool. I was pretty sure it was wool, but like as I was knitting, that's when I had this like epiphany moment, like, oh, this is so much nicer to knit with. Like, like, like not even comparable. Like it has more give, but it also like has, I don't know, pull. So like when you're knitting, it will keep the tension really consistent because like you don't have to keep the tension as much. Like the yarn itself is pulling and keeping the tension in. But like when I finished this thing, it was like half the size, and then I blocked it and it blocked out really big. And that's like when I for sure knew that it was wool, is when I blocked it, because I wet blocked it, and of course it had that wool smell, like the wet dog, wet sheep smell. Um, so, but yeah, it's pretty small. And so when I wore this kerchief just as a kerchief, like the back just came up in an annoying way, and I didn't like that. So I added I had this like elastic yarn. I at first like played around with it a little bit where I like crocheted it a little bit, but it was this too fat, so I just literally it's just like a strand of elasticy yarn. And so yeah, so then it ends up being more like a snood, right? A little bit, or it pulls in a little bit, or like a cap or whatever. My daughter said it looked like a yarmulke a little bit, but I think she doesn't really know what a yarmulke is because it doesn't look like that. My husband said it looks kind of bohemian, which I'm down for that. Like that's totally fine. So yeah, I'll probably wear this a bunch because I'm always looking for new things to wear in my hair so I don't like scratch my scalp and cause myself to go bald. Like that would be pretty bad. But also I like this is totally my style. I like it. It's cute. And the color looks good on my skin, so that's nice. Okay, the last finish for this week. It was really disappointing when I was making it, but I think it turned out pretty well. So this is an 1869 pattern. Maybe it's 1861 actually. Yeah, this is the 1861 gestrickte or gehäkelte Haarschal. I think gehäkelte Haarschal. This just means like a crocheted um, men's scarf or shawl. Um, so this is Tunisian crochet, and yeah, I didn't really use the manly yarn. This is kind of shiny and kind of like it. It kind of reminds me of the Karen Simply Soft. I don't really know what yarn it is. It's just scrap yarn that I inherited. So it could be that. But yeah, this is Tunisian crochet, and I made it about half as long as it should be. They had really like specific instructions in the pattern, but my Tunisian crochet hook isn't long enough. So I bought some that have like a little string on the end so that I can make it much longer, and we'll see how that goes. But this is 150 stitches. That's about as many as I could manage to get with this worsted weight yarn on my needle. So and it's actually really asymmetrical, and it kind of bugs me because like on the one side you can see that there's like holes in the stitches. On the other side there aren't, because I didn't make it completely symmetrically. They're supposed to be in the original pattern. It's supposed to have 7 stripes of these main stripes along, but I only did 3 because I was kind of running low on yarn, and I knew that this was going to end up for my niece. Um, and then at the very end, I ended up doing that little caterpillar pattern because these ended up being way too loose. And the reason they were loose is because I was following the pattern and the instructions for the Wellenstich, which is the wave stitch, but the instructions for that um, were wrong. Like in 1869, later, when they describe the same stitch, they showed it completely differently. Like I was doing it where it goes in the well, it turns out they don't want the Wellenstich. I don't know what it's called, but it's the stitch that mimic in Tunisian crochet that mimics knitting, and it is like it makes it look like on one side it's completely a stockinette stitch going this way, and then on the other side it will look like um, pearls just going the other way, which is kind of weird and kind of awesome. But I definitely didn't do it correctly and it's not really my fault. It's because the pattern, um, like they changed the definition of Wellenstich, or maybe I'm losing it. Maybe it is my fault. I'm gonna dig into this more because it's kind of interesting. Like I honestly am not bothered too much by this because like it doesn't really annoy me or pet peeve or anything. No, it's actually this is what's fun about like historical knitting and historical fiber arts in general is like trying to discover like how did the names get standardized and what did they mean in this publication at this time and how did it change over time and like trying to dig into the mindset of like the pattern writers and they made a if they made a mistake then like how disruptive was it and stuff like that like it's an interesting thing to think about like the differences it's like a puzzle it's an additional layer of puzzle besides just like figuring out the fiber it's also figuring out the instructions and fortunately for me like so I really am not great at following instructions but when it's instructions in German then somehow they're just a little more interesting so I can really pay more attention and follow it but also because they're short. So that makes it more challenging because it's less information. So you really have to rely on the whole context and like looking back in the back issues that explain like like 20 pages earlier from the issue of De Bazar that I was working in. There was the um, like a page that had all of the different Tunisian crochet stitches that they were referencing, and they referenced the one as a Wellenstich, but then like 10 years or 8 years later, they referenced a Wellenstich or Wellenheckelstich or whatever. Like they did it like completely differently. So did they just get it wrong in the first issue? Did the name change? Was there no standardization or all of the above? Like it's kind of interesting. But anyway, this is very small. This scarf is not going to be a good I mean it's more like an ascot, right? And I don't like it does look pretty girly, especially with the fringe on the outside. Oh, it's facing the wrong way, so you can see better this way. You can see the patterns. But yeah, I think it ended up being good. And again, this is just like acrylic yarn that can be washed to death and it'll be good for my niece. She'll, maybe wear it a couple times and that'll be good enough. But it was a learning experience for me, is the point. And now, when I found the other edition of Der Bazar that had the changed instructions for the Wellen Heckelstich, then like suddenly the previous pattern made more sense. And so I'm working on, remedying my error and making a product that looks like their final product. So hopefully that will be done next week and I'll be able to show you. So yeah, those are the makes for this week and I hope I'll have more to show next week.